In Maine, gun ownership is more than a right. It's a way of life, deeply tied to tradition and identity. For generations, families have passed down hunting rifles and stories, teaching respect for the land and for each other. The culture of responsible gun ownership is woven into the fabric of daily life, from autumn hunting trips to community gatherings where safety and stewardship are valued as much as skill. But on November 5, 2025, that tradition faced a turning point as voters approved a new red flag law, shifting the conversation from rights alone to the urgent need for public safety. The decision was not made lightly. It followed months of heated debate, heartfelt testimony, and soul-searching within communities across the state. Mainers, known for their independence and strong sense of community, found themselves grappling with how best to protect both their freedoms and their neighbors. This change was born from tragedy. The Lewiston shooting in 2023 forced Mainers to confront the limits of their existing laws. The shock and sorrow reverberated far beyond Lewiston, touching every corner of the Pine Tree State. It became clear that something had to change to prevent future heartbreak. Survivors and families demanded a new tool to prevent violence before it happens. Their voices, filled with pain and hope, echoed in town halls and legislative chambers. They called for action, not just words, urging lawmakers to listen and act. The new law, an extreme risk protection order, lets families and law enforcement take steps when warning signs appear. It empowers those closest to a person in crisis to seek help, offering a way to intervene before tragedy strikes. The process is careful and deliberate, balancing individual rights with the collective need for safety. Now, courts can temporarily remove firearms from those deemed a threat after careful review and due process. This measure is designed to save lives while respecting the values that Mainers hold dear. This is the story of how Maine, shaped by grief and resilience, took a courageous step toward a safer future, one where tradition and safety walk hand in hand, and where the voices of its people continue to shape the path forward. October 25, 2023, began as a normal night in Lewiston, Maine, until a gunman opened fire at a bowling alley and a bar, killing 18 and injuring 13. The victims were friends, neighbors, and members of the local deaf community, shattering the city's sense of safety. A 2-day manhunt ended with the shooter's suicide, but the pain and questions lingered. Robert Card, the shooter, had a documented history of mental health struggles and alarming behavior. His family and Army Reserve unit had repeatedly warned authorities about his deteriorating state and access to firearms. Despite these warnings, the system failed to intervene. The tragedy exposed a painful truth. The danger was known, but the law was powerless to act. This realization sparked a statewide demand for change. Maine's yellow flag law, enacted in 2019, was meant to prevent tragedies by allowing temporary firearm removal from dangerous individuals. But it required police to take someone into custody and a medical professional to confirm the threat before a judge could act. Family members couldn't petition the court directly. They had to rely on law enforcement to start the process. This multi-step system was slow, reactive, and often impossible if the person avoided police. Medical evaluations added delays, and police hesitated without clear evidence of a crime. The law's complexity made it hard to use in real emergencies. In Robert Card's case, these hurdles proved fatal. Robert Card's family and Army Reserve unit saw the warning signs and repeatedly alerted authorities. They were deeply concerned about his erratic behavior and potential for violence. Despite their efforts, the system seemed unresponsive. Deputies tried to check on him, but Card evaded contact, making it impossible to trigger the yellow flag law. This law is designed to temporarily remove firearms from individuals deemed a threat, but it requires direct interaction. The sheriff's office flagged him as dangerous, but this was only a warning, not a legal intervention. The flagging process is meant to alert authorities, but without further action, it remains just a note in the system. Even after Card was hospitalized and banned from handling weapons by the Army, there was no way to remove his personal firearms under state law. The Army's ban was clear, but state laws did not support the confiscation of his weapons. The system required custody and a medical evaluation, steps that couldn't happen if Card stayed out of reach. Without these critical steps, the law enforcement agencies were left powerless. The law wasn't built for cases where families saw the danger but couldn't act directly. They were left in a state of helplessness, knowing the threat but unable to mitigate it. Everyone knew he was a threat, but the process failed them. The community, law enforcement, and his family were all aware of the imminent danger. Yet the bureaucratic hurdles were insurmountable. The result was a tragedy that could have been prevented. A system designed to protect failed, leading to a heartbreaking outcome that left a community in mourning. In the wake of recent tragedies, Mainers found themselves at a crossroads, searching for solutions that could prevent future heartbreak. Communities across the state gathered in town halls and public forums, voicing their concerns and demanding meaningful change. The call for action was clear. Something had to be done to protect loved ones and neighbors from preventable violence. On November 5, 2025, Mainers took a decisive step. At the polls, voters overwhelmingly approved a new red flag law, signaling a shift in how the state addresses gun violence and mental health crises. This law creates a direct and accessible path for families and household members to seek help when they see warning signs in someone close to them. Importantly, the new red flag law doesn't replace Maine's existing yellow flag system. Instead, it adds a crucial alternative, giving families and law enforcement more options to intervene before tragedy strikes. The two laws now work side by side, each offering a different route to safety depending on the situation. Under the red flag law, family and household members can now petition a judge directly, without having to go through law enforcement first. This means that if someone is in crisis and poses a risk to themselves or others, those closest to them can act quickly to temporarily remove firearms from the situation, potentially saving lives. This shift empowers families, friends, and household members, those who often notice warning signs first. By making the process more accessible and less intimidating, the law encourages early intervention, allowing loved ones to step in before a situation escalates out of control. The red flag law is designed to focus on clear, observable behaviors, such as recent threats, acts of violence, or dangerous conduct. Unlike previous laws, it doesn't require a formal mental health diagnosis, which can be a barrier to timely action. Instead, it prioritizes immediate safety based on what people see and experience. By removing the need for a medical evaluation before a judge can act, the law streamlines urgent cases. Judges can respond more quickly to credible threats, ensuring that help arrives when it's needed most, without unnecessary delays or red tape. Law enforcement still plays a vital role and can continue to use the yellow flag process when appropriate. But now, families have a vital tool of their own, giving them a voice and a way to act when they fear for someone's safety. The red flag law is designed to close the dangerous gap that allowed tragedies like the Lewiston shooting to occur. It's a response to the pain and loss felt by so many, and a promise that Maine is committed to doing better. Ultimately, Maine's red flag law is a proactive measure, one that aims to prevent violence before it starts, protect vulnerable individuals, and strengthen the bonds of trust and safety within our communities. The red flag law is designed to be straightforward. A petitioner, family, household member, or law enforcement files a sworn statement in court explaining why someone poses a danger. Evidence can include threats, violent acts, reckless firearm use, or substance abuse, supported by texts, emails, or witness accounts. In emergencies, a judge can issue a temporary order without notifying the respondent, allowing immediate firearm removal. Within 14 days, a full hearing is held where both sides present evidence. The judge decides if a final order, lasting up to a year, is warranted. During this time, the respondent cannot possess or purchase firearms. The process is designed for speed and accessibility in moments of crisis. Maine's red flag law balances public safety with constitutional rights. A final order can only be issued after a full court hearing, where the respondent can see the evidence, present their case, and have legal representation. The law provides court-appointed counsel for those who can't afford a lawyer, ensuring fairness. Emergency orders are temporary, and respondents can request early termination if they're no longer a danger. Once the order expires, firearms can be returned. The law is preventative, not punitive, focused on crisis intervention, not permanent bans. It's about creating a cooling-off period to save lives while respecting due process. Maine's approval of the red flag law is historic, given its strong gun culture and high rates of ownership. Nearly 59% of voters supported the measure, signaling a shift in priorities after the Lewiston tragedy. The law faced opposition from gun rights advocates and even the governor, who worried about burdening families. But the voices of survivors and victims' families changed the debate, putting a human face on the need for reform. They argued this wasn't about taking guns from everyone, but about helping those in crisis. The vote showed that, for many, safety and prevention now outweigh abstract arguments about rights. The fact that Card's family tried and failed to get help was a powerful motivator. Maine's decision proves that even gun-loving states can evolve on gun safety. Maine's red flag law will echo far beyond its borders. As the 22nd state to adopt such a measure, Maine's rural pro-gun identity makes this move especially significant. The law's passage by popular vote shows that, when given the choice, communities may support proactive safety measures, even in the face of political opposition. Maine's hybrid approach, keeping both yellow and red flag laws, offers a flexible model for other states. The Lewiston tragedy is a stark reminder of why multiple intervention pathways matter. No law is perfect, but Maine's step is a testament to resilience and the search for common ground. It's proof that tradition and progress can coexist in the pursuit of saving lives. The rest of America will be watching.